I grew up where in the 80s where technology was evolving, but it, like the Bible says, knowledge will increase exponentially in the last days. Knowledge meaning technology. And, I was there when MTV had its first day, Masonic television. I was there when I was seeing, like, this is the first time this special effect has been used, or, like things during the Terminator movie or whatever, and like lasers, and like there was only so much they could do with what they had. And then it started to get from like Atari and Commodore 64. Floppy disk was my first thing that we plugged into the computer, and a joystick, and it was like, wasn't anything crazy. And then Nintendo, and then like PlayStation and Xbox, and I don't even know, I've never owned anything, but they've made the technology. There's been times where you look at stuff and you go, man, that's not believable, or you look at that and you go, that looks kind of real, or that looks like an artistic whatever. But like when I remember looking at the dark side of the moon, I was like, there's no way that's the dark side of the moon, when then I come to realize there isn't a dark side of the moon. You look at the NASA images of the dark side of the moon and you go, and then you look at pictures and get into all that shit about the moon landing. And, I was on my feet, on the fence, on my feet. I was on my feet thinking, cheering. I was on the fence for so long about it. But then God really just showed me, like, about the firmament and about the luminaries, and it's just a light. We don't know what the moon is. We don't know what it's made of. We've never touched it. We've never been up there. We've never taken pictures of our realm, where we live, from the moon. So those pictures are bullshit. And you start looking at it, and then you go, the fundamental problem is confusion and deception, and that's from the devil. Anywhere you see confusion, where it's like they release videos of them going, pretending that they're hearing music on the moon, or they're watching us from the crater. And I was into all that nerdy shit. I mean, I've got the whole, Durka. I got the beginner's tattoo kit. I got fucking invested in it. It's about $800 of nerdy ass shit, So you don't go to this and then go, oh, I was wrong, without really knowing that you were wrong. Because it looks hella stupid when you tell people and they're like, oh, you got, and I was really into aliens. But when they destroyed the footage, which, I mean, they didn't really destroy, that's just what they're saying, because in the Bible it says all truth will be revealed, so they have to reveal the truth. They know that you could run that footage now you could, even a couple years ago, run it through different filters and see that it was what it was, that it was a complete, like staged production. I mean, that's what it was, it's just crazy to think, that people go, well, what's the reason behind it? Well, they want to create the delusion that you can go to space and there's more life out there, and and there isn't, the aliens, everything, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything from vampires to whatever is based off of something, and it usually was in the Bible first,
At the next stop sign,
vampires were based on demons. Demons, fallen angels, have been here since before we were created, you
At the
know.
stop sign, turn left
And
onto Florida
you look
582
at
West, East
the
Fowler
stuff for the
Avenue.
moon. Apollyon is the beast, the name of the beast in the pit in the Bible. Apollo 11. 11 obviously is a signal, you know, for duality and whatever else. I forget at this point. I mean, I've made videos about it so many times. But they want you to keep thinking that you can get out of here, you know. And it's like, I was thinking about this, like mountain climbing and stuff. Like, if God wanted us up on them mountains, there'd be stairs up there. You know what I mean? If God wanted us in outer space, he wouldn't have made it so hard to get to. If he wanted us, you know, like he put, you know, when you think he put governors on us to stop us, you know, like you think about it, we gotta sleep. You know, another thing, when you go up high, like to Denver or Mexico City, people can't function. They can't breathe. They have to get used to the oxygen, you know, and when you go up higher in like Mount Everest, it's freezing up there. It's all because it was made that way. When you go underneath, go under the sea and all of that stuff, it's because God doesn't want us there. You know what I mean? And he put us here in this enclosed system. You know, you look at all the names of the planets, they're all named after pagan gods. And like I said, you're talking about a NASA nerd, okay? Satellites. And you ever see a satellite fall out of the sky? You know, like there's 3,000 satellites, but there ain't a picture. There ain't a picture of a satellite in any picture from the space station. There's no satellites. There's never any space debris. There's never part of a satellite melted, but they can go get pictures of the sun. Oh, this was 20 miles from the sun, but that thing didn't melt. You know what I mean? Like it's 900 million miles away, and we've got a clear signal in 1987 of what the, you know, like sunspots and the noises from the sun, and it's just all fucking science fiction. You know, they got us getting ready with space. They got the television. You know, what they really came out with, and it really kind of never left me, was a show called Ancient Aliens. And they started talking about the Anunnaki. And the Anunnaki were from outer space, fallen angels. They came down and they blessed man with fire. Well, Lucifer is known as the light bearer, the bearer of, you know, forbidden knowledge and information, and he saved us from a dogmatic God, and, you know, he didn't want us to prosper, and you can be a God too, and all of that stuff. And you look at it and you go, after Roswell, you know, they've had some false flags, you know, like for aliens, you know, Roswell, Area 51, the plant Bob Lazar, George Knapp, all of these people, because they know how to manipulate and confuse you. And confusion and manipulation is a tactic of the enemy. That's what he does. He gets you, like, they know how to do these, like, these are perfect CIA tactics. UFO spotted at Area 51 crash site, or whatever. Oh, never mind, it was a weather balloon. Da-da-da-da. And so they got you to go, oh, now they're lying, it had to be a UFO. So it's almost like a woman. It's what women do, you know? They get you spun around on it. Confusion. It's of the devil, you know what I mean? And I used to be real huge into, like, Area 51, and I lived out there, and I went out there when I lived in Las Vegas, and, you know, they want you to believe that, you know, there isn't a heaven and there isn't a hell. There isn't a creator. You know, we can live forever. You know, the answer is going to be you're going to have to merge with technology, you know, and everybody that's anybody from Joe Rogan, Bob Lazar, all of these people deny Jesus Christ, obviously, is Lord, okay? Detest the name Jesus Christ at all. You can mention any other historical figure, if that's what you want to call them, from Buddha. Oh, it was Buddha's birthday on da da da, you know, or whoever, you know. They don't want, they only then it's like a silver bullet to a vampire. You mention the name Jesus, and that's why you don't hear like people talking like when they do these fake like Jelly Roll and Hulk Hogan and all these fake pretend conversions. And I would say this to Hulk Hogan's face if he was alive, and Jelly Roll, you're lying. You know what I mean? Like, you're lying. There's nothing about you're doing whatever you're being told to do as part of your little thing, you know? And it's unfortunate, but I was on the brink. Listen, I was on the brink of buying that shit. You know, I almost bought it. You know, like, I was literally so gullible and asleep and, you know, high that I thought that, fuck it, man. As soon as I get an opportunity, I'm definitely going to Mars. When they make that shit legit, like airplane travel, and you can go to the moon, because that's what I'm going to do. And then I started thinking about it, man, if they could go to the moon, one, they would have left all us sorry-ass people here. If they could go to the moon, you know, they would have already ruined the moon like they ruined the earth. Or Coca-Cola would have a flashing sign up there, and then every year you could bid, it would say tech giant super whatever galactical robot has bought the rights to the moon, flashing neon, and has split it with Pepsi and Astro Soda, and tonight the Dodgers are playing on Saturn. And you know, I kind of see, you're taught about this shit from the time that you're young, you know. But when you realize that it never happened, you start to go, like, when you really start to realize it didn't happen, you know, you really start, when you really accept it as truth, and you really realize that they didn't go to the moon, not just saying it to be edgy or whatever, when you really put it all together and it's on the wall of your heart, and you realize that they didn't go to the moon, you realize that there's a lot more things that they lied about, okay? And you can start with evolution and monkeys and men.